خالقي من جديد كما أنت مني إلهي تريد.
إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وابشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون نحن أولياؤكم في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة ولكم فيها ما تشتهي أنفسكم ولكم فيها ما تدعون نزلا من غفور رحيم. ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين. ولا تستوي الحسنة ولا السيئة ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم وما يلقاها إلا الذين صبروا وما يلقاها إلا ذو حظ عظيم. وإما ينزغنك من الشيطان نزغ فاستعذ بالله إنه هو السميع العليم. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم. This ayat karima from Surah Hamim as-Sajdah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and this is all our greatest challenge. We are on highs of ibadat, then on lows, and we cannot continue. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَ اللَّهِ. Those that say that Allah is my sustainer. Rabb is that being that has brought you from nothing to complete fruition, stage by stage, with love, care, compassion. So first is acknowledgement. And in everything in life, if a person has a habit of acknowledging, you'll go very, very far. Whether it is a husband in regard to the wife's favors, whether it is a wife in regard to the husband's favors, whether it's children in regard to the parents' favors, whether it's students to their teachers, siblings to one another, relatives that favor you. This acknowledgement is the first step towards istiqamat. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَ اللَّهِ. Those that said that Allah is our sustainer. ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا. Then they are steadfast. Then what are the favors? تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. The malaika descend upon them and they give them the glad tidings, أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. That you should not fear and you should not grieve. Not only that, وَابَشِرُوا بِالْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. Take glad tidings of Jannah that you have been promised. نَحْنُ أَوْلِيَاؤُكُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ. We are your friends, Allah is saying, in this worldly life and in Akhirah. And then in Akhirah, وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَدَّعُونَ. For you in it will be what your heart desires and whatever claims you make. نُزُلًا مِّنْ غَفُورٍ رَحِيمٍ. This is hosting from that being that is most forgiving, most merciful. Besides Istiqaamat al-Deen, we have to see that the whole of Deen remains entrenched deeply in our lives, but it does not end there. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ. Whose word can be better than the one that invites towards Allah? وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا. And he himself does righteous actions. وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا. He does righteous actions. But at the same time, by giving da'wah to others, pride does not come into him. He does not think himself to be better. وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. I am from those that submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am just from among the Muslimin. So to have istiqamat, to invite people to the whole of deen, and to be saturated with a'mal salihat on a personal level, and remain humble. وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ. Good and evil are never equal. So in da'wat, there is always going to be opposition. And you have to expect that. idfa' billati hiya ahsan. Engage with people in a way that is better, irrespective of their mannerisms, their criticisms. فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. That if there is enmity between you and his person, and you chose the characteristics of ihsan, silman kata'ak, wa'fu amman zalamak, wa tu'ti amman haramak, then he will become your bosom friend. Despite his objections, hilm is required, tolerance, forbearance, intelligence, overlooking, forgiveness. And who will get this quality? وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا الَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا. Thus, of engaging with people in a better way, despite the stones they throw, you will continuously throw flowers at them. Only those that have sabr will get this trait and quality. وَمَا يُلَقَّاهَا إِلَّا ذُو حَظٍّ عَظِيمٍ. And only those will receive it who will have a tremendous portion. Yes, at times things might be said, and they will be instirring by shaitan. So Allah has warned us of our enemy as well. وَمَا يَنزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ. If some incitement from shaitan comes to you, then immediately remember you can't fight him on your own. فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. Seek protection in Allah. إِنَّهُ هُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. Allah is all hearing, all knowledgeable. I have chosen this topic because the 4th years are completing, and this is our biggest challenge, istiqamat. In an environment that is conducive, it's very, very easy to make amal. The matron will wake you up at the time. Alima Appa will come tell you charge. Ishraq, Awabin, Tahajjud, Tasbih time, Wazifa time, Ta'aleem time. In a way you programmed. A car that's in the garage and makes no squeaking sound is no kamal, is no achievement. When that car comes out from the mechanic's garage and go back to the road. And where there is humps, there is detours, there is high ascending cliffs, gravel road, then we will understand how strong the sky is, or whether it has been repaired satisfactorily. We find this very, very common in people, unfortunately, that take drugs. Then they go to the rehabilitation center. Then they detoxify them for a while daily. And they have programs upon programs upon programs. From tahajjud time they wake up till late at night. Support structures, adhkar programs, tilawat of Quran programs, other ta'aleem that takes place in these rehabilitation centers. But then very, very few, not even a week, and they're back onto their old habit. Why? Because that you are governed all the time. So to do amal in a rehabilitation center for a drug addict is very simple. But how come within the first week he fails? So what is required is istiqamat. My Hazrat Hakim Sahib rahmatullah alayhi used to say that this ayat karima, inna alladhina qalu rabbuna Allah thumma istaqamu, is jumla ismiya. الجملة الإسمية يدل على الدوام. That jumla ismiya, a native or normative sentence, shows and requires continuity. So this ayat, the structure of it, also shows that this quality requires effort and it has to be perpetual. This is called uslub bayan in balaghat. That the structure of the sentence shows what is required. That these characteristics has to be imbibed within yourself and has to be embraced continuously. So the ayat itself is giving da'wah towards istiqamat. Allama Qadi Thanaullah Panipati rahmatullah alayhi, and in his famous tafsir Mazhari, writes, what is this istiqamat we are all talking about? Steadfastness. Loose, simple translation. Al-i'tidal. And what is i'tidal? I'tidal is that pathway that is free from ifrat and tafrit. Too much or too little. So al-i'tidal. And sirat mustaqim is the path of i'tidal. Sunnatul Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the path of al-i'tidal. So al-i'tidal وعدم الزيغ هو عدم الزيغ والانفراف والانحراف عن الحق. That you do not turn away and move away from the truth. There is no crookedness, there is a straight path in every aspect. So what is al-i'tidal? وعدم الزيغ والانحراف عن الحق. And this is in every aspect, whether in terms of i'tiqad, in ibadat, in akhlaqiyat, in muasharat, in muamalat, al-i'tiqad. And the sirat al-mustaqim is that path that takes the salik to the matlub, that takes the person walking to his objective. So this istiqamah that we are talking about, it encompasses the whole of deen. Yani imtithalu awamiri wa ijtinab nawahihi. To fulfill every command of Allah and to stay away from everything that Allah has prohibited. That's istiqamat. And this imtithalu awamiri wa ijtinab nawahihi ala sabil ad-dawam wa thubat. with continuity. So this is what is required. Not that we are on a high after Ramadan or in the first 3 weeks of every term when we come to madrasa and we make long resolutions. We break our resolutions quicker than how the amount of time it took to make them. As Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala used to explain, Istiqaamat is to remain firm on Iman and Tawheed. Meaning if a person's Iman and Tawheed is very deep, entrenched within himself, then the offshoot immediately will be Amal. So he explained that to be firm on Tawheed and Iqamat. Uthman Ghani radiallahu ta'ala used to explain Istiqaamat as Ikhlas Amal. When a person is genuine, then there will be continuity. When there is Riyā, as long as you are impressing people and you are getting accolades for your achievements and you're getting recognition, you'll do. When this stops, your Amal will stop. So how deep? Outwardly, you're wondering as to what is the connection between Istiqaamat and Ikhlas. And in one occasion, Hazrat Ali Karamallahu Wajh explained what is Riya and how to determine whether you have Riya or not. So he says, you know when you got Riya is when in crowds and multitudes of people you have great fervor in doing that action. And then in solitude, you are lazy. You continue. Secondly, he said, if you get praises from people, then you enhance further in that activity. And even though the action may be good, but when you get dispraise, then you leave that action. So as Abu Bakr Siddiq has mentioned, to remain firm on Iman and Tawheed is Istiqaamat. Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiallahu ta'ala who explained Istiqaamat is Ikhlas Amal. Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu ta'ala says, Al-Istiqamu an tastaqima ala al-amri wal-nahi, that you remain firm on the commands of Allah and that what Allah had prohibited. وَلَا تَغُورُ رَوْغَانَ الثَّعَالِبِ, and don't move around like a fox, lomri ki tarah, from here to there, from here to there. Once, Sufyan bin Abdullah Thaqafi radiallahu ta'ala anhu asked Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wasallam a very pertinent question, very deep. And we know this hadith from Jawami al-Kalim. Kulli fil Islam qawlan la as'alu anhu ahadan ba'dak. Tell me in Islam such things or such a speech that now I have no need to ask anybody after you. Meaning so encompassing that just by you replying, the sentence will encapsulate the whole of deen. The core of deen will be explained to me. Kulli fil Islam qawlan la as'alu anhu ahadan ba'dak. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told him, say, Kul amantu billah, thumma istaqim. Say, I brought iman on Allah, and then be steadfast on this claim. Mullah Ali Qari rahmatullah alayhi, in the explanation of this hadith in Mirqat, writes that هذا الحديث من جوامع الكلم الشامل لأصول الإسلام التي هي التوحيد والطاعة. He says this hadith is from the eloquence of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's speech. It encompasses all the fundamentals of Islam, And what are the primary fundamentals? What is the core of Islam? All our amal takes us eventually to what? Allati hiya tawheed wa ta'ah. Hazrat Hakim Mul Ummah, Mawlana Ashraf Ali Thanvi Rahmatullah alayhi, explaining this hadith says that इस hadith में आमाल कुलूब और कवालिब दोनों दाखिल है. That is, hadith encompasses both amal qulub and qawalib are those actions that are on the body, on the surface. So this one hadith, Qul amantu billah thumma istaqim. Say I brought iman on Allah and then be steadfast, encompasses the actions of the heart and the actions of the body. Therefore the Sufiya famously say, and this is quoted so much, Al-Istiqamatu khayrun aw fawqa alfi karamat. That to be steadfast is far superior than 1,000 supernatural activities. Al-Istiqamatu khayrun min alfi karamat. Imam Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi used to explain, Al-Istiqamu ala sirat fi dunya sa'bun. To be steadfast on the straight path in dunya is very difficult. And then he gives a description. Kal murur ala sirati jahannam. It is just like passing the pull sirat over jahannam. Wa kullu wahidin minhuma adakku min ash-shar wa ahaddu min as-sayf. Each one, the sirat, the pull sirat to walk over jahannam and istiqamat, both of them are thinner than the hair and sharper than the sword. Kullu wahidin minhuma adakku min ash-shar wa ahaddu min as-sayf. The author of Tafsir al-Mazari says, Al-Istiqamatu لا تتصور بدون فناء القلب والنفس. This istiqamat cannot be obtained, cannot be perceived, cannot be fathomed دون فناء القلب, without annihilation of the heart. And that's the sum total of tasawwuf. This whole path is of fanayat, annihilation. And how do we start? Kunu ma'as sadiqin. That remain in the company of the pious. Because insan's nature, al-insan yasriku tabai min tabai al-ukhra. We snatch and we steal characteristics from others. We elevate in nurturing, in growing up by somebody teaching us. And Allah has kept within ourselves this kayfiyat and condition that we have the ability of stealing and snatching sifat and characteristics and qualities from others. So if we sit in the company of the pious, those that have continued in ibadat, automatically that quality will rub off on us. So one very, very easy way so he says that al-istiqamatu la tutasawwar biduni fana'il qalb, annihilation of oneself. And the whole part of the tasawwuf is fanayat, from beginning to the end. And Ajib, Mashayikh says, it starts with fana fi shaykh, to annihilate yourself in front of your elders. And then all the other maqamat will come of fana fillah, etc. But today nobody wants to walk this path. Therefore we can't get istiqamat. Because he says it cannot be perceived, it cannot be fathomed بدون فناء القلب والنفس وحصول للمعرفة بالله. And istiqamat cannot be obtained till you do not get the ma'rifat of Allah. And my Hazrat used to explain this very, very beautifully. He says, I can remember his words, Khaishat mamnu'a ghair shar'iyya kufana करे और मारिफत इलाही हासिल करे. That those desires that are ghair shari, not all desires, the Shariat has forbidden. You have to annihilate them. Khaishat mamnu'a, those desires that are prohibited. Ghair Sharia, they're not part of Sharia. To annihilate it. And to obtain the ma'rifat of Allah, then there will be istiqamat. Therefore, Hazrat Hasan Basri rahmatullah alayhi used to make this dua. Allahumma anta rabbuna. Oh Allah, you are our sustainer. Farzuqna al-istiqama. Hasan Basri was that tabi'in whose tahniq Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu made. The nigah of Hazrat Umar, that is a sohbat. The nigah of Hazrat Umar, that eye of Hazrat Umar fell on him. Not only did the eye fall on him, then all Hazrat Umar's riyadat and sacrifices and qurbani and tilawat of Quran and adhkar and wa'ad and nasihat, then Hazrat Umar made tahniq. So the saliva of Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu went into the stomach of Hazrat Hasan Basri. So Allah has got great value for Umar. So Umar's saliva can't go to waste. His saliva can't go to waste. Forget his du'as and his ibadat and his salat. His saliva can't go to waste. So when he came into Hasan Basri, at the same time he read the dua, Allahumma faqqihu fi din wa habibu ila nas. Allah, give him understanding of deen and make him beloved to the sight of people, in the sight of people. Both qualities are required. You can have great faqahat, but you don't have the mannerism, countenance, then people will be averse to you. On the other hand, you can have fantastic characteristics, but unfortunately you haven't got the depth of deen and the knowledge of deen, you will lead people astray. Imagine, he was a tabi'i. When Hazrat Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who had a long life, used to address him, he used to call him, Ya Mawlana al-Hasan. The Salafi should listen carefully. He said, call him, Ya Mawlana al-Hasan. He was a tabi'i. He had the good fortune of seeing over 120 Sahaba as a Hasan Basri. So very, very important that is istiqamat. And now we have understood primarily what is this istiqamat. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues, إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا. When do the malaika descend? Allah Ma'arusi Baghdadi rahmatullah alayhi in Tafsir Ruh al-Ma'ani writes that, quoting Zayd bin Aslam, there on 3 occasions the malaika descend directly on a person. 1, at the time of death. 2, in his grave. 3, at the time of the resurrection. Then also he states further, that means these 3 occasions specifically, on other occasions as well. So they will tell him, don't worry, la takhafu. Now that you had istiqamat in your life, you continued in this path. La takhafu, don't fear. Wa la tahzanu, don't grieve. Allama Fakhruddin Razi rahmatullah alayhi in Tafsir Kabir writes, what is khawf? What is this khawf and huzn? That Allah takhafu wa la tahzanu. Al-khawfu ibaratun an ta'allumul qalb بسبب توقع وحصول مضرة في المستقبل. الخوف عبارة عن تعلم القلب بسبب توقع حصول مضرة في المستقبل. So he says خوف, what is خوف? That apprehension and the difficulty the heart experiences regarding fear of some harm befalling him in the future. So that is khawf. So that uneasiness that overcomes his heart because of the fear that he has, which we today's anxiety, and we find so many 1 in 5 women today is suffering from anxiety pertaining to the fear. So the malaika at the time of this most critical moments of his life, because he had istiqaamat and he remained firm on deen, then this most critical points in his life, they will come and tell him, La takhafu, don't fear regarding the future. Wala tahzanu. Then Allama Fakhruddin Razi rahmatullah alayhi explains in Tafsir Kabir, Al-Huzn ibaratun an ta'allamul kalb بسبب فوت نفع كان موجودا في الماضي. الحزن عبارة عن تعلم القلب. Grief is that pain that the heart experiences due to missing out on some benefit of the past. So they will give you total security regarding your future. The malaika. That means before even your soul leaves this world, before your soul leaves this world, ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون لهم البشرى في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة لا تبديل لكلمات الله ذلك هو الفوز العظيم. ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. So there is no fear, there is no grief. When the Swiss can make a waterproof heart, my Shaykh used to say, why can't Allah make a gham-proof heart? Allah takhafu. So then at the time of these 3 critical points, because you remained true to Allah, then fear will leave your heart regarding what's going to happen. There'll be no grief that you are leaving your family, your children. Because now we know already that before you die, your Jannat will be shown to you. Such longing towards it, now there'll be no fear. And you won't regret or have grief regarding what you have left. Then amazing, the Quran Kareem says, Allah takhafu wa la tahzanu wa abshiru bil jannati allati kuntum tu'adun. Now become pleased with the Jannah that has been promised for you. So Allah will give him Aminul Qalb and Sakinul Sadr. Then amazing point, Mujaddid Millat Mawlana Ashraf Ali Thanwi rahmatullah alayhi mentions that why does Allah say takhafu first and then tahzanu? Why not the other way around? Because huzn is generally regarding the past, which a person has for a short period, certain regrets. I could have done this, I could have done that. I wish I obtained that. But khawf is a perpetual thing about the future and is more predominant on a person than regret. So therefore, Allah keeps in mind His servant and accordingly. Allah takhafu wa la tahzanu wa abshiru bil jannati allati kuntum tu'adun. Nahnu awliyaukum fil hayati dunya wa fil akhirah. We will be your friends in dunya and akhirah. What is friends in dunya? Yani awanukum fi umurikum. We will help you in all your matters. وَنُلْهِمُكُمْ الْحَقِّ. We will make ilham and inspire you towards the truth. وَنُرْشِدُكُمْ إِلَى مَا فِيهِ خَيْرِكُمْ. And we will guide you in those things that are good for you. وَصَلَاحِكُمْ. And for your benefit. So in dunya also, continuously, because of the barakat of istiqamat, أَعْوَانُكُمْ فِي أُمُورِكُمْ. We will carry on helping you in your matters. وَنُلْهِمُكُمْ. We will inspire you of that which is the truth and the right. All the time you'll have good thoughts of to do good. Where people will be struggling and people will be falling and people will be failing, you will be reaching higher and higher heights. وَنُرْشِدُكُمْ إِلَى مَا فِيهِ خَيْرِكُمْ وَصَلَاحِكُمْ. And we will carry on guiding you towards that which there is goodness in it. And thus, أَوْلِيَاكُمْ فِي الْآخِرَةِ. First, نَمُدُّكُمْ بِالشَّفَاءَةِ. We will help you through intercession. وَيَدْخُلُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ بَابٍ. The malaika will come from all doors to welcome you into Jannah. Ajib point, Mawlana Shafi Thanwi rahmatullah alayhi has written. There's نَحْنُ أَوْلِيَاؤُكُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Whenever a person makes sabr on the difficulties of dunya, we mention sabr in its complete form, sabr al-ta'a, sabr al-ma'asiyah, sabr fil musibah. Then he will have a sakina in his heart. This is the barakat and the face of the malaika. There's nahnu awliyaukum fil hayati dunya. There's inner peace, although outwardly it seems like turmoil in your life. But the inner peace that you will experience, this is a face of malaika. There's much more to discuss. So simple, I try to explain as to what is sakina. Obviously the ayat we haven't even completed. The ayat is very far to complete yet. But the truth is, wherever you go back to your areas, see a person of great righteousness and istiqaamat in their life and stick to them. And inshallah it will get you great strength. We'll have a lot of fervor of doing things and how we're going to be, but we'll see that after a while we'll start falling. So one easy way, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullah wa kunu mas-sadiqin. Or at least keep one of your teachers, your female teachers or male teachers via email, etc. That will be your guide. Your inner condition to explain, your spiritual elevation, or the traps that you're finding in your life in terms of your spirituality, to carry on speaking to them. The frustrations you are feeling in different dini work that you are doing, or the fear of pride and self-conceit coming into you. So all this, keep a murabbi and muslim. Even if you don't take bi'at, but make sure there's a Muslim and a Murabbi, a guide you always keep. And keep to them. Then inshallah this will be very easy way of getting istiqamah. Because you will tap into their piety by sitting in their company. And that will give you great fervor and zeal to do more. Allah Ta'ala give us all tawfiq.